If you've only made half square triangle blocks by following the method that uses drawing a line across the diagonal of the square and then sewing a 1/4 inch away on either side of that line, then cutting down that line so that you get your 2 half square triangles for every block that you do, when it's time to make something like this quilt behind me that has 96 of these half square triangles, meaning that you'd have to draw the line 48 times, you may be thinking, do I really need to draw that line? No, you don't. You only need to draw one line, and I'll show you what line that is. Before we get started, I just wanted to mention one other reason that you might want to not be drawing a line across this diagonal, depending on what tool you're using to draw with, because this is a diagonal line and it's on the bias. As you're drawing like this, you can be stretching the fabric. So if you've got something that really pulls on that, you could be stretching the fabric on the bias a little bit, and then your square won't be quite square anymore, and that will mess up your final half square triangles. When you're sewing a 1/4 inch away from the line, you're really sewing a 1/4 inch away from one point to the other point, right? When we line up whatever on our machine is a 1/4 inch away from the needle, in this case it's my foot right here. My foot is a 1/4 inch foot, so the edge of it is a 1/4 inch away from the needle. So I've lined it up on that line, and then as I sew along, I would just keep my foot next to that line all the way down to the end, where again it ends up just a 1/4 inch away from that point. We've drawn a line from point to point, and we're sewing a 1/4 inch over from that line, right? There's a line here, and we're sewing a 1/4 inch that way of that line, and the line goes from point to point. So let's start by drawing a line that's a 1/4 inch away from the needle. They do make special tapes that have lots of lines on them for your machine, but I tend to take this tape on and off a lot, so I find it cheaper and easier just to have a piece of masking tape or washi tape that I draw the line on. For marking this line, I like to use a quilting ruler because we want this line to come straight out from the machine. We don't want it to be cocked this way or that way, because when we were sewing, right, this line was straight next to the machine. By using a quilting ruler, you can line up the lines this way with things on your machine, like this line I have up here, or this line here, and then I know that the line we're going to draw is perpendicular to the line of the sewing. And the next thing is, after I've lined it up there, I'm also going to line up the 1/4 inch mark with my needle. And you can see that the edge of this ruler also is lining up with the edge of my foot because it's a 1/4 inch away. And now I just need to mark that line next to the ruler. There's the line. You can see that apparently I put my tape on crooked, but this line is nice and straight coming out from the needle. If I put my marked square on here, line up the point again with the edge, you can see that as I sew along straight here with my foot against this line, this point is following that line that we just drew. All the way down until I'm sewing a 1/4 inch away from that point. So because I have that drawn now on my machine, I can line up the beginning of my seam with this point, line up this point down here, and then just sew and then I can even just flip it around, put the point up here, lined up with my 1/4 inch mark on my foot, and then follow a line with the point here. And I've sewn my 2 lines, and they're each exactly 1/4 inch away from this imaginary center line. And you would just cut between the 2 lines, and then you would have your 2 half square triangles. If you're making lots and lots of half square triangle units, know that you can make half square triangles 8 at a time by using this pattern here. And again, you're just sewing from point to point, point to point. So you can use the same trick that we just used by marking your machine at the 1/4 inch to the right of the needle. And if you're wondering what size to cut your initial squares to get the half square triangle units you want, I have this handy dandy sheet that has the measurements for both of them, both the making 2 at a time and making 8 at a time. Just check out my links below and it'll take you right there. It's free. I hope this helped. Happy sewing!